मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत श्री राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरौ दीनतारिणम्। All right. Yeah, I think pandemic is having a wrong effect on our class. I see everybody is going out, like numbers are down. So, but nonetheless, more people will join later. I think it's still not, yeah, not the time. Maybe I would say people join late, I believe. So let's give it to that. So, any questions so far? Any thoughts, questions, whatever, doubts, or we can get started. Or I can now ask some doubts. Okay, so we can get started. Maybe we'll see. Fine. When Rajiv Prabhu is not here, who's supposed to present today? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Before we begin, let me ask some questions. Uh, hmm. So many things have been discussed about the soul in the past, right? And we heard ki we are a soul and all those things. And I've been asking this, I didn't got the answer yet. Ki like, what does it mean if we, what are we supposed to behave once we know we are a soul? I hope I'm audible. Anybody? Or let me ask.
Yes, Prabhuji, you are audible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think one thought is that when we fully understand that we are the soul, I think uh, we should not attach on material stuff, and we should not lament if that if there is any death and all, and we should understand that this is a continuous journey, and the soul is traveling from one body to another body, but it's in real world it is little difficult, but we have to practice for that and understand this concept.
and
Okay.
uh, and knowing that you are a soul, like, that comes in time, but then it should be a basic understanding that nothing belongs to me. I'm just a servant of Radha Krishna.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
I'm just I'm here because of my karmas, and then now I devote myself to them.
Okay. Yeah, we are not here because of our karmas, basically. We are here because of our um, free will that we have. Okay. Um, and then here we get into the cycle of karma. Before this, there were no karmas.
And probably, I think just maybe it's already mentioned. Once we realize that we are soul, we should, the way we realize that we are body, so we try to beautify the body, try to feed ourselves, try to make a good body by going to gym. Probably we should do something for the soul once we realize we are soul, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yep. That's true. Yeah, but what can we do about the soul? Because soul is anyways
हाँ,
eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. Yeah.
प्रभु जी, जब हमें ये रियलाइज हो जाए कि हम सोल हैं, तो फिर सिर्फ हम ही नहीं, हमारे आसपास जितने भी हैं सभी सोल हैं। तो हमें ये भी याद रखना चाहिए कि जितने भी हैं, जो वैष्णव हैं या नहीं है, इतना तो है कि हाँ वो भगवान के बच्चे हैं। तो हमें उनके लिए भी मतलब वो रहना चाहिए, मतलब आदर रहना, आदर कह सकते हैं, या फिर मतलब उनके प्रति द्वेष नहीं रहना चाहिए, उनके प्रति गलत वो नहीं रहना चाहिए।
Compassion.
हाँ,
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Makes sense. Okay. Any other thought? What we should feel when we realize that we are a soul and not this body? Okay. Yeah. Pretty much. But how can we help the soul? Yeah, that was one point, right? I asked.
By performing devotion activities, we can make the blissful to soul, so soul
Okay.
will feel enjoy.
Mhm. Okay. Devotional services, soul will enjoy. Okay. Hmm. So basically, one thing we should definitely do is, like, once we realize that we don't belong to this place, we should not get attached to this place and try to get out of this place, right? Uh, isn't it obvious? Like, आपको suddenly होश आया कि मैं कहाँ हूँ, और पहला वो होता है ना कि मुझे अपने घर जाना है types. So that definitely should be the feeling, and we should first try to figure out कि ये सब क्या हो रहा है, मतलब मैं कैसे यहाँ फंस गया और यहाँ से निकलूं कैसे. So that definitely is a obvious thing which should happen, could happen, right, with anyone who actually realizes this fact. So anyways, nonetheless, yeah. So let us, I think, talk about today's class. Uh, okay, so yeah, why this slide? I'll talk about it. So basically, of course, and I mean, all of right, that basically this is a month when the Bhagavad Gita is actually uh, spoken. It's a month of Margshir, right? A very pious month. So a lot of people go out, the devotees go out and they distribute the books, right? I've also tried doing it sometimes in the past, and whenever I try to do that, I mean, there is a lot of discussions which happen with the people, like lot of people, and sometimes actually if somebody buys the book, right, you get more enthusiastic कि चलो इसने book ले ली है, let's tell him a bit more. So then I've even went out and said कि देखो ये महामंत्र है and you should chant this mantra because this helps you control your mind, okay, and solve the problem of your life, right, and you will be happy, kind of a thing, something simple, whatever they can understand. So have tried doing that also. Now some people take it positively, ठीक है ये सब क्या है मतलब ठीक है आप बता दो कैसे रिसाइट करते हैं and we'll do that. And some people are like no, I mean like they they don't want to hear also. ठीक है ये सब हो गया बुक तो ले लिए but I do not care that much about this Mahamantra, right? So on the road, I mean I think somebody, if any of you have tried, you'll know, right? People sometimes ignore you, they may not abuse you but at least ignore you at, at the least, right? And some people are like as if they are doing a favor, I mean like by talking to you also, okay, like as if it's your good fortune that a great fortune that I'm talking to you also. So that's how also people behave sometimes on the road. So and but yeah, if you ask them, right, you give them tell them that, oh, you will get out of this problem, they are like, oh, problem, I mean some people are too much about their problem. I don't want to talk about my problem. I'm like and don't talk to me also. You can, I have a busy day, I am not feeling good today, so do not talk to me about any of these things. So that is how people behave a lot of times, right? I don't know if any of you felt like that. And अगर उनसे पूछो ना कि अरे आपकी क्या प्रॉब्लम है लाइफ में, यू टेल मी द प्रॉब्लम एंड दिस बुक हैज द सॉल्यूशन टू एवरीथिंग. This Mahamantra, if you chant, that has the solution to everything. And then what they, I've even heard people saying that, hey, my problems are very big, it won't fit in your brain. Okay, matlab people are so attached to their problem that they think that their problem is the problem, I mean like and nobody can solve it. Okay, even if you tell them that mantra is like, it will take you higher than the mind and your problems will become easy, so they do not want to hear or understand any of that, right? So parallel to this, I mean, this what is happening, what I explained you. Parallel to this is what was happening in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Correct. So Arjuna was like overtaken by a strong attachment to his kinsman. Right. वो सब हमने बात की है पहले कि he was too attached and he didn't wanted to fight. It is easier said than done. I mean, like बोलने के लिए हम बोल सकते हैं कि अरे भगवान आपको बोल रहे हैं it's a dharma and you should fight and things like that. But it's very easy to say it or judge somebody like that. What was happening to him doesn't happen every day with any of us, or never happens with any of us, right? So basically we have to understand what kind of pressure he was in, right? He was about to kill his own kinsmen, own relatives, own guru and pitama, right? It is not easy. So of course you can argue, because अभी हम सब soul के level पे हैं, हमें पता है कि ये soul होता है, so we can argue that अरे it's just a bodily attachment, and we can add logic around it, like but he was also trying to add logic around it in the beginning when he was talking about it. So he was wrapping it around a lot of logic, right? But if you remember, right, in the end of the first chapter, he was like that, oh, there will be so many repercussions which will happen when if I fight, and it goes till the 7th verse of first chapter also, in fact slightly beyond that also. So one thing to learn, I mean from this, if you have to, वो ये है कि ये सारे आर्ग्यूमेंट्स और वर्ड जगलरी और ये थिंकिंग प्रोसेस से प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं होती, राइट? दैट इज व्हाट वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड. लाइक रोड पे बैठ के अगर हम किसी को बुक देने जाते हैं, लाइक सो मेनी पिक्चर्स देयर, सो पीपल गिव लॉट ऑफ आर्ग्यूमेंट्स. पीपल कैन ऑलवेज से कि अरे मेरी अपनी लाइफ है, मैं बिजी हूँ, मुझे काम है, मेरी अभी शादी हुई है, मेरी अभी जॉब लगी है, वगैरह वगैरह, या मैं बहुत एजेड हो गया हूँ, अब ये सब नहीं हो सकता. But that doesn't solve their problem, no matter what kind of jugglery anybody does, right? The problems can get solved only through knowledge. So let's recap, I mean before we delve into this next section, just to recap, this is what actually happened, okay, so far, right? In the first chapter, as we know, Arjun gives so many arguments, right? How many arguments anybody remembers for not fighting? Anyone remembers that?
Compassion.
Six argument. Sorry, Matan. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, whoever. ठीक है, anyone is fine. Yeah, Anu Ataji. I can't hear anything if you are saying Mataji something.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Compassion. Oh, sorry, Prabhuji. Someone is speaking.
No. No one else is speaking.
Okay. Compassion, Prabhuji.
Okay. What else? Compassion was one. I mean, any other argument? Like, what argument Arjuna gives? How many of them? हमने ये चैप्टर पढ़ लिया है और टेस्ट भी दे दिया है उसका.
Yeah,
So,
Prabhuji.
yeah.
Give me just 1 minute. I am recalling all.
Okay. ठीक है. Even number will do for now, because anyone remembers the number of arguments?
6, Bhaiya, I think.
Yeah, six. Correct. So 6 arguments Arjuna gives, and we went as deep as we could at that time, try to understand all the arguments. And then basically first 3 verses, if you remember, there Krishna reprimands Arjuna, like, basically says that this is like, he tries to break those arguments somewhat simple language में, अगर समझ में आ जाए तो. And but Arjuna 4 to 9 में और भी एक argument देते हैं, मतलब last argument that he gives, and there he is like, that, oh, I'll not fight. But the good thing he does in those 4 to 9 verse is that he accepts Krishna as his guru, correct? And that is a big thing that he does, right? So he, even without realizing who Krishna is fully, but he does that, which is a good thing on his part, right? And then of course before, and then comes the third section of this chapter, which is the section where we are in right now, which is the verse from 10 to 30, okay, where Krishna actually begins his teaching. Okay, and there he talks about something called as Sankhya philosophy. That is what we have been hearing. Sankhya actually comes from the word called Sankhya. Okay, और संख्या का मतलब होता है counting. So it is a count between, okay, what is temporary and what is eternal, right? Between body and soul. That's what we have been hearing, right? That, oh, body is this, soul is this, right? So that is the Sankhya philosophy. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Sharan Prabhu, I think yes. We pasted. Compassion, enjoyment, fear of sinful reaction, destruction of family tradition, and indecision. Correct. These are the 5 arguments that that Arjuna gives, right? And indecision comes in the second chapter. So correct. Like, so that is the Sankhya philosophy that we were hearing so far till 25th, and till 30th also it will be of the similar thing. Correct. And also Krishna explains how to cultivate detachment from the matter or bodily conception, right? Bodily things कि इस body से detach होके सोचना चाहिए, right? I mean, if you remember the verses where we talked about कि अच्छा, this body or this gross body and this subtle body, how to deal with them, or ultimately आप soul हो तो how to understand that fact, right? So of course, I mean, like, Arjuna presented wonderful arguments, no doubt. I mean, हम जैसे लोग वैसे arguments सोच भी नहीं सकते. But yeah, now Arjuna is face to face with the greatest philosopher of all, right? And who can be better philosopher than God himself, right? And Krishna says, right, I mean, अभी तक जो हमने सुना है, it's just recapping the whole thing, right? That soul is eternal. Soul is the source of all consciousness, correct? क्योंकि through entire body it pervades through consciousness, and body is dead, but soul is the only thing which is alive. And yeah, and basically Krishna also talks about various qualities of the soul, ki soul ki kya kya qualities hoti hain. हमने बहुत सारी qualities अभी तक सुनी है soul की till 25th verse. And he also describes that soul moves from one body to another, right? अगर एक body destroy होती है तो वो next body में चला जाता है, and that's what keeps happening. But even with the change of the body, soul doesn't get destroyed, correct? क्योंकि even अगर fire भी लग गई, body जल गई, कुछ भी हो गया, but soul is not destroyed. So because soul is out of this material world, so उसे fire, water इन चीजों से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. So those are the kind of things that we were understanding so far, right? Now, of course, Lord also describes what body is, and what is consciousness, what is soul, and soul is eternal, primeval, unborn, right? So basically, what is being what he trying to do, right? I mean, abhi, so the knowledge that we have heard so far is about the Vedic understanding, which is ki soul hai. That is the Vedic understanding that exists. By the way, will be surprised that there are so many other types of understanding. This is not the only understanding. I mean, you may or may not get surprised, right? There's so many other philosophies which talk that soul doesn't exist. And Krishna, in the coming verses, will talk about those philosophies. And interestingly, even with those philosophy, he'll say ki nahi, fir bhi fight karo, no matter what. Okay, and we'll try to understand what are those philosophies. So, yeah, so that is what he has happened so far. Correct, till 25. And of course, I mean, something to also remember is when he starts talking, he says, Ashochan, Anvashochan Tvam, Pragya Vadamsha Bhashate. I mean, like, the first thing he says is ki, see, you are talking like a learned person, but you are a fool. Okay. So that's what he says. I mean, if I connect it to the example of this book distribution example that I was giving you, right? When we ask people to chant Mahamantra, so they also don't get convinced. I mean, they don't. They think that अरे इतनी सिंपल अगर कोई फिलोसफी है तो ये कैसे सच हो सकती है. I mean, इतनी सिंपल सी बात भगवान बता रहे हैं यहाँ पे. And similarly, if I tell them somebody कि अरे if you chant Mahamantra, if you read Bhagavad Gita and take it to your life, then your life will be very different, right? I mean, you'll be really, really happy. I mean, you don't even know what real happiness is. But people don't want to understand that because अरे इतनी सिंपल चीज सच नहीं हो सकती है, कुछ तो कॉम्प्लिकेटेड सा होना चाहिए. इनफैक्ट सम पीपल थिंक कि अरे मैं इतना लकी कैसे हो सकता हूँ कि मुझे इतनी इजीली सब कुछ मिल रहा है. पीपल थिंक कि बाकी सब कुछ चीजों में तो बहुत मुश्किल होता था, मतलब मैं बहुत ही अनफॉर्चुनेट सा हूँ, बट इस पर्टिकुलर चीज के लिए हाउ कैन आई बी फॉर्चुनेट, हाउ कैन आई गेट थिंग्स सो इजीली. एंड कृष्णा, that's why Krishna, till 25th also, if you remember, Krishna uses these words like ukta, uchyate, that no, it's scriptural. Whatever I'm saying is scriptural. Okay, it is not just me who's saying it, so you trust me, he says कि मतलब even though he is God, but still he says कि नहीं, मैं बोल रहा हूँ फिर भी मत मानो, लेकिन ऐसा scriptures में लिखा हुआ है इसलिए मानो, because scriptures are the truth. The only way you can understand the truth is शब्द प्रमाण. उसके अलावा कोई और तरीका है ही नहीं, right? So the point is, of course, now Krishna will change track and go to different philosophies. He's like a great guru. I mean, a good teacher is somebody who can actually come up with all possible theories and is able to break those theories and still prove his point. So, and who can be the better teacher than God himself, right? So we'll try to understand and go through this verse. So, okay, let me recite. Any questions so far? Whatever I said, so many things. It's okay, right? Hopefully. Great. Okay, I hope I am audible. So let me.
Prabhuji, on book distribution, my question is that that you were talking about that people take it in good way, and then some people also ignore. So when people ignore you or take it into the sometimes people doesn't react well, what should be our consciousness at that time? I mean, how we should deal with that
Yes. So what we should think, okay, what we should think then is कि ये हमारे endeavor से कुछ नहीं होने वाला. ठीक है, whatever I am speaking here, यहाँ पर भी मेरे endeavor से कुछ नहीं होने वाला. ठीक है, what is going to happen is only because of Paramatma guiding a person on the right path. ठीक है, it is the only thing I could have done. I mean, like, so we should think is like, how strong is our sadhana? Book distribution ke, there are 2-3 golden rules. The first rule is how strong is your sadhana. Okay, if your sadhana is not strong, it will not work. Okay. there are times, right, हम लोगों को कन्विंस करने जाते हैं, लोग कन्विंस नहीं होते हैं. कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि कुछ लोग कन्विंस हो जाते हैं. So why does that happen? I mean, if we have not done our rounds properly, if we have not taken shelter of guru, if we are not in that consciousness, then nothing is going to work, and we should not feel bad about it. We should think about how can I improve my sadhana. That should be the first understanding. The second thing also is, it is like, I mean, and it actually is connected to what I said, because you being able to convince someone is about Paramatma in your heart and Paramatma in their heart. Okay. And they basically, if actually you are in sync with the Paramatma in your heart, then that person can get convinced, because there he'll get some guidance and he will take it, not because you are saying some mumbo jumbo. It is not going to work like that. Okay. I have seen people who do magically in this area. I mean, like, who are able to do magically, able to convince people, and it's purely because of the sadhana of the people, not because of anything else. Nothing else works. Okay. So it boils down to how well we are doing our sadhana. The other way to also think about it is, even if nobody takes the book, nobody is bothered about it, it does not matter. What we are doing here is our service. Okay. And the the way to get elevated is service. Devotion is not a theoretical matter, it is a service. So with every service that we do, we are going the next step, that's for sure. So we should think of it purely as our service. That also is perfectly fine. But yes, I was not able to convince someone, and because of which I don't feel good about it. He didn't talk to me. I mean, I am earning much more money than him. Come on, how can he do that? Those are are the traits of rajagun and tamogun. That does not that's not what it is all about. And the reason why you get elevated in by doing service is because you do practical of so many theories that we are hearing or reading. Because बाकी सारी theories हम पढ़ते हैं, इतनी सुंदर सुंदर सी अच्छी अच्छी बड़ी बड़ी बातें, humility, tolerance, all sort of things we hear, right? So many good qualities. But if you are not able to apply them, then they are just theories. They will not make any difference in your life. Correct. So this is the think of it. I mean, the way I think about it is, it's a safe ground for me to practice what I have heard or learned so far. Can I apply it? Okay. There are people who will shout at you, who will do all sort of as bad things as they can do. Right? Are you able to digest it? So that is that, and that is something that you take back to your life, and then your life changes without you realizing about it. I don't know. Have I made sense or not?
Yes, Prabhuji, it is helpful.
Okay. Yeah, but it's, of course, I mean, so to summarize, it's about sadhana. It is also about service, that the service that we are doing, whether somebody gets convinced, not convinced, does not matter. We are here to do our service, and the service actually takes you higher. Service is important. Okay, without service, the elevation is not possible. Theory पढ़ने से किसी की life change नहीं हुई आज तक. आप once Prabhupada, somebody came to Prabhupada and said कि Prabhupada, he's a very great devotee. There's a great devotee in our group. So he said, okay, what does he do? So he said, Prabhupada, he remembers he actually memorized the entire Bhagavad Gita from 1 to 700 verses. All the verses he memorized. So Prabhupada got very grave, and he said in a grave voice, I mean, please engage him into some meaningful service also now. Okay. So his point was कि ठीक है, ये सब भगवत गीता याद करना और all that is fine, but that is not going to help anyone. If you really want to go further, then you have to do something which is more meaningful. So do something meaningful. Okay. Even if it sounds menial, it does not matter. अगर आपको वो सर्विस menial लग रही है, it just mean that you are not out of your own ego so far. Okay. All right. So let's recite. I hope I clarified. अथ चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैनं शोचितुमर्हसि. Okay, let me recite again, and then anybody can decide. अथ चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैनं शोचितुमर्हसि. Okay. Anyone wants to recite?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
अथ चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मान्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैनं शोचितुमर्हसि.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else?
अथ चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैनं शोचितुमर्हसि.
Thank you.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु.
Hare Krishna. All right. All right. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. If, however, you think that the soul or the symptoms of life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. It looks like something simple enough. So we have to understand like how amazing Krishna is. So, okay, let me read few lines from the purport. There is always a class of philosophers, almost akin to the Buddhists, who do not believe in the separate existence of the soul beyond the body. When Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, it appears that such philosophers existed, and they were known as Lokyatikas and Vibhashikas. Such philosophers maintain that life symptoms take place at a certain mature condition of material combination. The modern material scientists and materialist philosophers also think similarly. According to them, the body is a combination of physical elements. And at a certain stage, the life symptoms develop by interaction of the physical and chemical elements. The science of anthropology is based on this philosophy. Currently, many pseudo religions, now becoming fashionable in America, are also adhering to this philosophy, as are the nihilistic, non devotional Buddhist sects. Okay, all right. So, yeah, let's talk about this first. So, basically, this is a section where Krishna does this to Arjun. Anybody can figure out ye kya hai, ye, what kind of thing it represent? Do you think a black one can win anyways, somehow? Is there a way for it to win?
No, Prabhuji, it's checkmate, I believe.
Okay, yeah. So that's exactly. So this is called checkmate, right? So this is Krishna's checkmate to Arjun. This verse is like that, and next few verses are like that. So far, क्या हो रहा था ना कि basically here Krishna completely changes track. He starts with atha chainam, like if however you think, like अगर आपको इतना कुछ मैंने बताया 25 verses तक, आपको लगता है कि वो सब सेंस नहीं है, if you think कि सोल नहीं है तो क्या, मतलब अगर आपको ऐसा लगता है तो so basically if you think soul is eternal, then you should fight and do your duty. That's what he was trying to convince so far. And in this verse he says कि अच्छा assume करो कि अभी सोल नहीं है, ठीक है, और जो लाइफ है ना that is just composed of chemicals, then there is no problem in killing someone, because अभी लाइफ जो है वो सिर्फ केमिकल्स है. केमिकल्स को बहाने में क्या प्रॉब्लम है? what is the big deal about it, right? I mean, if you think कि अरे ये तो पैदा होता है और खत्म हो जाता है, then nothing to worry about it. There's nothing serious. So that's what Krishna is saying in this verse. So as I said, ki Lord is giving now onwards, Lord will give different arguments to counter arguments that other people can give, okay, who don't believe in Vedic wisdom. So Arjuna kind of represents the entire human race, and Krishna basically will give it for everyone. ठीक है, कि आप जो भी सोच सकते हो ना, उसके हिसाब से भी आपको अपना ड्यूटी करना है, okay, धर्म करना है. That's what he's trying to establish. So now very expectedly, like Lord will demolish all the arguments, whatever anybody can think of, right? So he says like atha chainam nitya jatam, like if however you think that soul is born, right? अगर आपको ऐसा लगता है कि soul जो है वो पैदा होता है किसी तरह से, so this jatam जो word है ना, that is starts from, it's actually the root of it. There's Sanskrit, every word has a root. So jatam का root is ja, which is like जन्म लेना और born होना. So if you think that ऐसा कुछ हो रहा है कि मतलब जो लाइफ सिम्टम्स हैं वो बॉर्न होते हैं हमेशा, यानी कि सोल जो है वो बॉर्न होता है, ओके, एंड नित्यमृतम, मतलब हमेशा डेथ भी होती है, तो सोल पैदा भी होता है और सोल की डेथ भी होती है, अगर आप ऐसा सोचते हो तो, ठीक है So, and atha, when he starts with atha, it actually indicates others opinion. I mean, like, और लोग किस तरह से कहते हैं, therefore, like, if, however, is how he says, right? And yeah, and tathapi tam mahabahu is like, that, oh, there is no reason to lament for you also. um, so why, I mean, why there is no reason to lament if this is the case, soul पैदा होता है और मरता है, तो anybody, why do you think there's nothing to lament if soul is born and dies?
शायद जय श्री कृष्ण प्रभु, शायद इसका रीजन ये होगा कि क्योंकि ये तो फिर ये जो बॉडी है ये तो इसी जन्म की है, तो ये यहीं खत्म हो जाएगी, बाद में क्यों में खत्म हो जाएगी, तो इसको फिर क्या मतलब इसका ज्यादा क्यों करना फिर इसका, इट इज नॉट समथिंग विच इज इटर्नल, अगर ये एज्यूम कर लिया तो फिर कोई मतलब नहीं रहेगा।
that is one way to understand it. There are many other ways to understand it, क्योंकि और भी हैं, I'll explain one by one, like, but you're right. I mean, कि अगर ये बॉडी खत्म हो जा रही है तो फिर इतना कोई टेंशन नहीं है। पर क्यों नहीं है टेंशन? क्योंकि अगर आपने ऐसा कुछ किया तो आपको पाप लगेगा, राइट? क्योंकि आपने किसी को मार दिया, तो अभी इसमें पाप की चिंता भी नहीं है। कृष्ण इज सेइंग समथिंग लाइक दैट, कि तब भी कोई चिंता की बात नहीं है, पाप पुण्य के भी बियॉन्ड है। अगर ऐसा है कि आपकी बॉडी, आपकी सोल जो है वो है ही नहीं, तो पाप भी नहीं है फिर। Okay, and I'll explain how does that happen, but why I reached to this conclusion, ठीक है? So, but anyways, bottom line is कि ये जो लोग हैं ना, जो इस तरह के लोग हैं जो कहते हैं कि बॉडी जो है वो खत्म हो जाती है और उसके साथ सब कुछ खत्म हो जाता है, so they roughly believe on two types of things, like Prabhupada uses two words, लोकयातिकास and विभाषिकास, ठीक है? So ये दो कैटेगरी में आते हैं ऐसे philosophers, and this is, philosophy is also the heart of modern science where we live in, right? Like, man has originated from ape, or ape originated from some primeval life form, and that primeval life form was, it originated from dead matter, right? तो कुछ था ही नहीं ऐसा कुछ। बट अगर हम सोचेंगे ना अपने आसपास, कभी भी कोई भी एक एग्जाम्पल हमारे पास नहीं है वेयर लाइफ हैज कम फ्रॉम मैटर, ठीक है? आप कितना भी मैटर रख लो, लाइफ इससे पैदा नहीं होती है। लाइफ ऑलवेज कम्स फ्रॉम लाइफ, राइट? प्रभुपाद रोट दिस बुक, आई मीन विद दिस टाइटल, लाइफ कम्स फ्रॉम लाइफ, ठीक है? एंड वहां पर उसमें क्या होता है कि उनके एक डिसाइपल एक्ट्स लाइक अ साइंटिस्ट एंड ही आस्क्स क्वेश्चंस टू प्रभुपाद, ठीक है? And Prabhupada answers those, like, and there he asks questions like these kind of things. अरे scientist ऐसा कहते हैं वगैरह वगैरह. So Prabhupada answers them in a very nice way. It's a very good book. So so basically, of course, as I said, कि मतलब there are many philosophies like Buddhism, Jainism, and they are all offshoots of Sanatan Dharma. Okay, and they came because out of Sanatan Dharma because of some reason for solving a specific situation, and that's how it came out. Like Buddhism, I hope you remember, right, that why Buddhism came out. We discussed that sometime. Anybody remembers why Buddhism was born out of Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma?
A lot of violence was going on, so after that, like that that came, Buddha came, and they gave they gave this type of message.
Yeah, because लोग वैदिक बुक्स को मिसइंटरप्रेट करके they were saying कि अरे किसी भी तरह के यज्ञ के लिए बलि देना जरूरी है, so बलि दो और खाओ, मतलब that's what was going on, a lot of it. So then Buddha came and he said कि नहीं, मतलब अहिंसा परमो धर्म, like ये सब बंद करो। और ये जो वेदास who are saying कि बलि देना है, he said कि वेदास फालतू है, we don't believe in Vedas, ठीक है? So that's what Buddha did. Okay, he completely rejected the Vedic thing and he said ki ahimsa is the main thing, nothing else matters. So but it came because of a certain reason, to stop animal killing. Okay, and then this philosophy was supposed to go away after some time, because after that then came variety of other personalities like Shankaracharya and others, right, who brought back the focus again to Sanatan Dharma. And once that happened, that philosophy of Buddhism was not required. But we see that the philosophy remained, right? But if you notice, then Buddhism is there in Afghanistan से लेके साउथ ईस्ट एशिया तक सब जगह पर फैल गया था एक पॉइंट पे, but not in India. It just went out of India. Even now, when people change to Buddhism, they don't do it. They mostly do it because of the hate of Hinduism. I mean, when people want to get out of Hinduism, they sometimes change to Buddhism, like Ambedkar did and variety of other people did. So, but even the current Buddhism that we know of is very different. Okay, there are so many other practices which goes on in the name of Buddhism. Like Prabhupada mentions in purport ki काफी nihilistic philosophies are like kind of part of Buddhism. बहुत सारी अजीबोगरीब तरह के काम करते हैं लोग and things like that which people give the name of Buddhism, but the original Buddhism was very different than this, right? And anyways, that's a different topic, will not go too detail. But but the bottom line is कि बहुत सारी philosophies बाहर आई सनातन धर्म से and then they went off track and the wrong interpretations came out of them. So in fact, interestingly, all the philosophies that you can think of or any thought that comes to your mind, I mean, one thing to understand is कि आपकी thought नई नहीं है, ठीक है? All of these thoughts have been thought through by people already. So कुछ भी नया innovation होने का scope है नहीं, ठीक है? Thoughts में even at the time of Krishna these philosophies existed. Like अभी इसमें और अगली 2-3 verses में what he will say, you'll be surprised कि मतलब ये सब तो आज के लोग बात करते हैं and Krishna knew about them and he was answering such things, or these questions he was answering, ठीक है? So that's why he answers these things. So the philosophies existed at that time also, and Krishna says here that if you think that these philosophers, then also you should fight. But anyways, let's go further and try to understand these philosophies. So सबसे पहले समझते हैं कि ये वैभाषिका क्या होती है, ठीक है? Even before वैभाषिका, let's try to understand Buddhism. I mean, Buddhism, but I'll not go detail of Buddhism. It's a long topic, but bottom line is it is Nastikvad. Okay, it's atheism. That's what it is. Now, what does Nastik means? ठीक है? So न अस्ति, ठीक है, ऐसे वर्ड है. न अस्ति मीन्स नहीं है, ठीक है? सो नहीं है, क्या नहीं है? आत्मा नहीं है, ठीक है? और दैट इज कॉल्ड नास्तिक. एंड इफ ऑफ कोर्स अगर आत्मा नहीं है तो भगवान भी नहीं है, एंड दैट कैन बी प्रूव्ड समहाउ. आई मीन if you have doubt, we can easily prove it. So basically what, and specifically this particular philosophy, in fact, Vaibhashika is actually of roughly of that nature. Of course, it's a Buddhist philosophy, and it says that Atma is Vijnana Swarup. Okay. Now, what does that statement means? So it means that consciousness, जो आत्मा है, जो consciousness है, वो product of certain condition है, ठीक है? There is nothing called आत्मा, but आप जो consciousness feel कर रहे हो ना अभी, वो आपकी कुछ condition के कारण है. जैसे कि फॉर एग्जांपल मैं आपको बोलूं कि आंख बंद कर लो और आप सोचो कि आप एक बहुत ही ब्यूटीफुल वैली है, इट्स अ वेरी ग्रीन वैली, और वहां पर बर्ड्स आर चर्पिंग, वाटर बह रहा है और बहुत ही ब्यूटीफुल है, लाइक इट्स यू कैन स्मेल द फ्लावर्स एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट, एंड सडनली आई स्लैप यू एंड देन आई आस्क यू द क्वेश्चन कि आप कहाँ हो, कहाँ थे अभी, राइट? एंड यू विल से कि अरे मैं तो उस वैली में पहुंच गया था, right? I was like just like totally immersed in that valley, and then I will say, see, what you're feeling, the consciousness that you got was because of the conditions, okay? Because you started thinking like that, so your consciousness took you there, and that is what it is all about. So it is just conditions के कारण हमें जो feel हो रहा होता है, so that consciousness is just विज्ञान स्वरूप, ठीक है? It is like that, ठीक है? There is nothing eternal here, but ये change होती रहती है. और होता क्या है कि मतलब it is definitely different from the body, but ये हर movement पे destruction होता है इस consciousness का. That is the Vaibhashika philosophy, and Vaibhashika basically is like a theoretical part of Buddhism, ठीक है? So it says कि the consciousness keeps getting distracted with every movement. Now, of course, there is no understanding of soul, and there is, because of which there is no understanding of God also. Why so? If there is no soul, then why no God? Any thoughts?
Because soul is a part of super soul, and then if you can't understand the soul, you can't understand the God.
That is one way to know, but basically it is about, देखो अगर आपको जो दिख रहा है ना वही सच है, ठीक है, अगर आपकी ये बॉडी 5 एलिमेंट से बनी हुई है, 5 है भी कि नहीं पता नहीं, बिकॉज आपको ईथर तो दिखता भी नहीं, राइट? तो फिर अगर ऐसा कुछ है तो अगर आपकी बॉडी किसी किसी एलिमेंट से बनी हुई है और ये सब खत्म हो जाएगा, इट्स ऑल मटीरियल, कॉन्शियसनेस इज ऑल्सो जस्ट समथिंग, राइट? मतलब आपकी फीलिंग्स है थोड़ी थोड़ी, तो फिर देर इज नथिंग लाइक higher thing about it, right? Then you can make everything into material, you can put everything into a material, answers can be given for everything then. Okay, then you don't believe on anything higher. Basically there's no need for anything higher also. Okay, it is just you can put it in anything, you can put it in the garb of karma or any other philosophy and just be done with it. You don't need to you don't even, and karma is also not required, because अगर soul eternal नहीं है तो कर्म का कोई औचित्य ही नहीं है, बिकॉज कर्म की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि कर्म जो है वो बियॉन्ड लाइफ ही सेंस बनाता है, तो यहाँ पर कर्म भी नहीं है इसका मतलब, अगर सोल नहीं है तो, राइट? और फिर बाकी सारे वैदिक कॉन्सेप्ट्स विल जस्ट गो डाउन इफ यू डोंट बिलीव इन सोल, वन बाय वन, राइट? नाउ अगर तो इसका मतलब है कि बस जस्ट ईट ड्रिंक एंड बी मैरी, आई मीन लाइक देयर इज नथिंग हायर अबाउट इट, बिकॉज आपकी डेथ हो गई, देन यू आर डन. So that is the conclusions that people get into. In fact, specifically Buddhists believe in something called as voidism. I mean, and Krishna actually defeats that after 2 verses also. But voidism is about like कि सब कुछ खत्म हो जाना है, मतलब सब zero हो जाएगा after death. Nothing will remain. It is just for some time and then it will go away and nothing will remain. So bottom line is Vibhashika is like that consciousness is just a changing circumstances and it changes from moment to moment. अभी आपको अच्छा लग रहा है, कल खराब लग रहा है, all that is happening. So that is what is consciousness. There's nothing beyond that, is what Vibhashika believes, right? So and as an example, अगर जैसे बच्चा छोटा होता है उसकी कुछ और कॉन्शियसनेस होती है, जब बड़ा हो जाता है तो कॉन्शियसनेस चेंज हो जाती है और सर्कमस्टांसेस से भी चेंज हो जाती है. इसी तरह जब डेथ हो जाती है तो सब कुछ खत्म हो जाता है, राइट? सो देयर इज नो सेपरेट एंटिटी एज सोल. Okay, so Buddhism, as I said, is a Gnostic philosophy. I mean, there's no requirement for a god here. You can prove everything, you can fit everything without having a god, right? I mean, Chaitanya Charitamrita says basically Vedana Manilo Bodha Hoilo Nastik. I mean, like that clearly says that this is what it is. So because they don't believe in the Vedic scriptures, so everything can be broken down then. Okay, but so I don't know. I mean, if you've heard, I think I told once, right? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who's a guru of Prabhupada, he once actually talked about 60 such philosophies. There are lot of such philosophies who are called Apsampradaya, who are not the true Vedic path. And these Lokayatika and Vibhashikas are just two of them. And he could give, I mean, like, and he was about to go for taking a bath. I mean, like, अपने कच्चे में खड़े हुए थे वो, and somebody asked him and he just recited those 60 philosophies. And then they said कि क्या है philosophies? And then he then and there explained each of the philosophies in detail. Okay, and what is the wrong with them and how can you defeat them, and all of that he explained. So anyways, those are the levels of acharyas. So basically that is the conclusion, as I said, right? I mean, any questions, or does it convince you that this is the right thing and there is no soul? If you want, we can go back and prove again that there is a soul. But this is what this Vaibhashikas believe. Okay, that there is a destruction which keeps on happening at every moment. Okay, that's what Krishna is saying here, right? The same thing कि अगर आप मानते हो कि अरे सोल जो है वो पैदा होता है और फिर नित्य मृतम, लाइक हमेशा उसकी डेथ होती रहती है. So this is one such philosophy called Vibhashikas. Then there is another philosophy that Prabhupada mentions called Lokayatikas, right? So ये Lokayatikas क्या होते हैं? So Lokayatikas, that's another separate class of philosophy, and I can convince you again in this philosophy. Okay, so oh yeah, Sharan Prabhu has a raised hand. Yes, tell me.
Then Prabhu's that these Buddhism philosophy, how they deal with the reincarnations and all, which we learned about that.
Yeah, they don't believe in reincarnation. They basically, so the way they deal with it, Buddhism doesn't have one path. There are many thought process around it. Okay, there are a class of Buddhism who believe in voidism also. These Vaibhashikas are different ones, and there are many branches of. But this specific guys called Vaibhashikas, for them the reincarnation doesn't exist. Okay. For there are some people who believe, there are some class of philosophers in Buddhism who believe that no, you have to go higher. That is what it is. As I say, right, it's a Vijnana Swarup consciousness. So you have to go higher, and once you are out of illusion, then you go to zero. Okay. Like Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Desh Talne. So Shunyavadi are those people who actually say that it becomes zero. Everything becomes zero after a point, after you actually cross a boundary. So yes, otherwise these people, they don't believe in reincarnation. For them, reincarnation is not required. And the same thing applies to even these Lokayatikas also. And also. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji, but yeah, there are a lot of proofs are available, lot of scientific.
So I'm not saying this is the right philosophy, right? I'm not trying to convince you that this is the philosophy.
No, but what I'm saying that why they I mean
why they say like this?
Yeah,
Because देखिए, philosophical logic में आप कुछ भी प्रूव कर सकते हैं, right? I mean ये एक तरह का thought process है कि ठीक है, मतलब that's what I'm saying कि I'm not saying कि this is right or wrong. I mean I've been trying to convince everyone that no, the Vedic truth is correct, and we can very well easily defeat it. This is not a problem. This is not a big deal to defeat. Okay. I mean, they don't understand consciousness at all. If they think that it keeps on changing, and consciousness is the soul, consciousness is not the soul. Okay, consciousness changes, but soul is constant, and that can be proven. कुछ तो होता है जो same होता है सबका. Everybody knows that. I mean, I don't need to tell it to anyone. I mean, at least you can feel it, that you were same as a child, even though yes, your intelligence has grown, mind has grown, and everything else has grown, but not yourself. You're the same. अगर ऐसा हो रहा होता, तो जो लोग 80 साल के बूढ़े हो जाते हैं फिर भी उनका मटेरियल एंजॉयमेंट करने की इच्छा होती है, they are the same people who wanted to enjoy when they were young, right? That has not changed. That consciousness has not changed. Nothing else, everything else has changed. Their body has changed and they are not able to enjoy anymore, but they still want to enjoy. Where is that feeling coming from? Who's trying to enjoy here? So yeah, it can be easily broken. I mean, that's not a problem. 10 arguments can be given here, but this is the Vaibhashika philosophy. Okay. And then going to Lokayatikas, so they believe that they are more interesting people. I mean, there are another set of people. So they say that consciousness जो है ना, ये 4 एलिमेंट से बनती है. अब जैसे कि 5वां एलिमेंट की तो बात ही मत करो, बिकॉज हमने ईथर तो कभी देखा भी नहीं है. ठीक है, तो देन देयर इज अर्थ, वाटर, फायर, एयर. ये 4 चीजें जो हमें दिखाई देती है ना, वट एवर यू कैन सी इज वॉट इट इज ऑल अबाउट. उनकी दुनिया ऐसी है. एंड आई विल टेल यू प्रोमिनेंट नेम्स ऑल्सो फ्रॉम दिस फिलॉसफी. सो बेसिकली इनका कहना है कि 4 चीजों से बना हुआ ये बॉडी है, और उससे ही कॉन्शियसनेस पैदा होती है. मतलब सब मटीरियल है सारा कुछ. जैसे कि दे गिव एग्जांपल लाइक बलदेव विद्याभूषण गिव्स दिस एग्जांपल इन हिज बुक. ही सेज कि जैसे कि रेड कलर है ना, बीटल नट को चबाते हो जैसे आप, तो उससे रेड कलर पैदा होता है. जिस तरह से अब रेड कलर तो था नहीं, पर आपने बीटल नट चबाया इसलिए आपके रेड कलर पैदा हो गया. उसी तरह से जब आपने ये 4 एलिमेंट्स को कंबाइन करके ये बॉडी बनाई, तो कॉन्शियसनेस अपने आप आ जाती है. ठीक है. और जैसे कि लिकर है, अभी इट जस्ट अ ग्रेप, राइट? बट लिकर कैसे बन गया ग्रेप से? It just came out of it as you whatever, जैसे rotten grapes, and then you get something out of it. Suddenly it happens. So don't worry about it. Consciousness जो है वो कुछ इस तरह की चीज है. तो इसलिए कोई बहुत बड़ी बात नहीं है consciousness होना. That is what these Lokayatikas believe. The other thing that they believe in is that बेसिकली जो 4 एलिमेंट है ना, वही आत्मा है. मतलब नथिंग एल्स. ये 4 एलिमेंट मिल गए यानी आत्मा बन गई. ठीक है, दैट्स इट. so and they say that of course this body is real. यहाँ पे कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बॉडी तो रियल है, जैसी दिख रही है वैसी दिख रही है. और इट्स अ चेंजिंग बॉडी. सो बॉडी है अभी, बाद में खत्म हो जाएगी, और अभी जो है वो दिख रहा है, दैट इज द रियलिटी. ठीक है ना? सो नाउ दैट यू आर अलाइव, दैट इज रियल. बाद में क्या होगा और पहले क्या हुआ, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता उससे. दैट्स व्हाट Lokayatikas believe. Okay, I don't know if you have heard this verse. Anybody heard this verse? नरेंद्र मोदी ने भी कोट की थी एक बार ये. यावत जीवम सुखम जीवेत, ऋणम कृत्वा घृतम पिबेत, भस्मीभूतस्य देहस्य पुनरागमन कुतः. Anybody knows this verse? किस महानुभाव ने लिखी बोली थी ये वर्ष और ये क्या है?
चार्वाक है प्रभु जी.
Charvak, correct. Yeah. So Charvak was a Lokayatika. If you read about him, then this particular class of philosopher, he was one of those. So Charvak, he's called Charvak Muni. I don't know why to add Muni there, but Charvak was an atheist, of course, and he was of this class of philosophers called Lokayatika. So इसका ट्रांसलेशन सिंपल सा है, यावत जीवन सुखम जीवित, जब तक जी रहे हो सुख से जियो, ठीक है, कोई चिंता की बात नहीं है, ठीक है, आराम से खुशी खुशी जियो, जो कर सकते हो करो, ईट ड्रिंक एंड बी मेरी, ऋणम कृत्वा घृतम पिबेत. आई मीन अगर भले उधार लेना पड़े लेकिन उधार लेके भी ना घी पियो, ठीक है, बिकॉज भस्मीभूत से देह से पुनरागमन कुतः, मतलब एक बार जल गई ये बॉडी ना, तो दोबारा कौन आता है किसी को नहीं पता, वो दोबारा तो कभी आना नहीं है. तो अभी ये जो बॉडी मिली है ना, इसमें खूब ईट ड्रिंक एंड बी मैरी करो. Even Vatsayan was a Lokayatika, by the way. I don't know if you've heard Vatsayan. Don't go into that detail. But these people were like purely materialistic people that who used to believe that eat, drink and be merry. जो भी enjoy कर सकते हो सब कुछ कर लो अभी इस life. So it is not that ये सारी philosophies जो हैं ये बड़ी नई हैं. लोग जो आज सोचते हैं ना, these were like all ancient philosophies. Everything has been thought about, nothing else. In fact, of course, this I don't know if you know this person, right? He definitely looks like that. His forefathers were monkeys. But no, don't forget about my bad joke. But basically, he's Darwin, right? So bottom line is कि even that's the current scientists also believe the same thing, right? कि अभी ये जो body है ये पूरी material है, इसलिए जितना enjoy कर सकते हो उतना करो. Beg, borrow and steal whatever, but drink ghee. Like this is the Western philosophy too. Okay, so that is what in fact the entire allopathy is based on this, right? I mean that we are a bag of chemical. अभी कुछ गड़बड़ हो गई है तो एक केमिकल खा के सारा कुछ ठीक कर लो, and we are alive because chemicals came together. और even हमारी जो feelings है ना वो सब chemical secretions है, because अगर आपको खुशी हो रही है तो मे बी एड्रेनालाइन इज पंपिंग, और दुख हो रहा है तो कुछ और केमिकल है, थिंग्स लाइक दैट. सो एवरीथिंग, ऑल आवर एग्जिस्टेंस इज बिकॉज ऑफ द केमिकल्स, right, all over the place. In Discover Yourself we talked about that, right? Dr. Harry Monson, who said कि 110 rupees की सारी chemicals होते हैं जो भी हमारे पास है. So that's what this class of philosophers believe, that जो है वो है, enjoy, eat, drink and be merry. But Krishna's argument is very clever here. I mean Krishna, so basically this is what the Lokayatika and Vabhashika says, right? That's a combination of matter or something like that. It's all chemical things. And Krishna's argument is very simple. He says कि देखो अगर chemicals है ना सारा कुछ, तो do you actually cry for chemicals? I mean अगर आपके थोड़े chemicals गिर जाते हैं लैब में, आप कुछ कर रहे होते हो एक्सपेरिमेंट एंड थोड़े केमिकल गिर गए, तो do you cry for it? Nobody cries for some chemicals, right? Because it's just a combination of chemicals or some conditions, and if it falls down, then there is nothing to worry. Okay, and that's fine. Even then you should not worry about it. Okay, in fact this also, in this argument Krishna defeats one more of Arjuna's argument, जो first chapter में अर्जुन ने दिया था कि we want to enjoy royal happiness, और इसके कारण क्या हम अपने संबंधियों को मार डालेंगे, like he gives some such argument, just for our enjoyment, like we cannot kill our kinsmen. So here he's saying, Krishna is saying कि कोई sin जैसी कोई चीज ही नहीं है. अगर कोई next birth नहीं है तो फिर sin जैसा कोई concept ही नहीं है, जो चरवाक बोल रहे हैं, right? कि भस्मीभूत से देह से, मतलब तो अगर एक बार जल गई बॉडी तो बात खत्म हो गई. अभी कोई sin वाला तो कोई चक्कर ही नहीं है यहाँ पे, अरे तब तक जी रहे हो, ऐश से जियो. So basically even then there is nothing to worry, there is no sin involved here. So in fact he uses this word called Mahabhaho. So that is lot of acharyas say that is for, in a mocking way he's saying that, okay, you are the archer, you are a warrior in the Vedic tradition, right? Because you are a Kshatriya, and that Kshatriya belong to a Vedic tradition. So if you belong to a Vedic tradition, तो इस तरह के wrong arguments तो मत रखो अपने पास, Okay, so you should not have such wrong views. That's what Krishna is kind of mocking him. Okay, and yeah, so because you are a Mahabaho, so you should not believe in these kind of philosophies, but you should believe in the Vedic philosophies, right? That and the Vedic philosophy says that soul is eternal, and uh, of course, if soul is eternal, तब तो कोई दुखी होने की बात ही नहीं है. But if you believe that yeah, soul is not eternal, तब भी दुखी होने की बात नहीं है, because it's all chemical then, and nothing to worry if a chemical falls, right? आई मीन इवन चरवाक मुनि फिलोसफी से हम ये प्रूव कर सकते हैं, राइट, कि मतलब सब कुछ खत्म हो जाएगा, तब तक जो करना है करो, मारो काटो, कुछ भी करो, राइट. बट ऑफ कोर्स, राइट, but in these kind of philosophies, right, I mean, the interesting thing is it's very strange that they don't believe in soul, right? I mean, because if you see, agar aap Bhagavad Gita and such Vedic scriptures are for cultured people. I mean, who can understand higher principle. And the higher principles are that there is a constant factor. हमने कितने सारे proofs पे बातें की हैं अभी तक कि soul exists. Even in the previous couple of verses we talked about it, and Shabda Praman itself says that. So many scriptures talk about it. But the interesting thing is कि ये Vedic knowledge का ना ABCD है. It is not a very high principle. Like, even एक uneducated farmer भी अगर आपको village में मिलेगा ना, even he knows that there is a soul. ठीक है. So it is like a very, very basic thing for us in the Vedic wisdom. But yes, for people who come up with so many cryptic theories, they cannot even understand this concept of soul or anything like that at all. Anyways, any questions so far? Or everything is clear? Or was it too heavy? Didn't make sense or something like that?
No, Prabhu, it is fine, understandable.
Okay, great to hear. Thank you, Nitinji, for joining. Okay, all right. What do we do? Should we start with the next verse? Not start? Let me try, but there's a presentation by Rajiv Prabhu also. So let's. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me not start with the next verse. Okay, because Rajiv Prabhu has a presentation also, so we can give it to them, and it could take long for him. So Rajiv Prabhu, do you want to talk now?
I mean, yes, your wish, Prabhu.
Yes, I think 7, because I'll not be able to cover it in 6 minutes that I have further with me. So let me do it next week. That's fine.
Okay, sure, Prabhu.
Okay.
So I mean, I will just share like whatever I've prepared in this one.
Yeah.
I mean, is it visible, Prabhu? Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, visible.
The presentation, Prabhu. And Hare Krishna, hope I am audible and there is no echo or something.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, आप अच्छे से आवाज आ रही है, and presentation is also clearly visible. No problem.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thanks for confirming. Hare Krishna. So I will start with my humble and respectful obeisance to Srila Rupa Goswami. And this is basically.
Do you want to put it in presentation mode, bro?
Huh?
Presentation mode. We are able to see only this non-presentation mode.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, is it fine, Prabhu? Thank you so much.
Yes.
So this is a Srila Rupa Goswami Pranam Mantra. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dhatari Swa Padakantika. So meaning is like, when will Srila Rupa Goswami, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet. So like whenever we are reading any scripture, Bhagavad Gita, I mean, we all basically read, prayers. So this is a, second verse of that particular prayer, and so so this is basically a prayer for Srila Rupa Goswami, and so so in this one the key phrase note is like, I mean, the desire of Lord Chaitanya, and in this one, in this presentation, like once I complete, I mean, हम ये समझ सकेंगे कि किस तरह श्रील रूप गोस्वामी चैतन्य महाप्रभु के मन की बात जानते थे. And so before I start, I mean, I really seek blessings from Srila Prabhupada and all devotees present this forum, and forgive me for any mistakes, because for not using any proper word and language, and Narendra, please correct me in case if I make any mistakes in between, because I might have added somewhere my own words which might not be in line. Uh, so I will try to cover it. So the second slide, like which is basically glorifying Srila Rupa Goswami. I mean, it is basically giving like what is the true position of Srila Rupa Goswami, and I have added one of line which is mentioned by His Holiness Shri Radha Nath Swami Maharaj. He said, all of the most purified, highly realized acharyas have worshipped Srila Rupa Goswami as their guru, and his glories are unlimited. I mean, वैष्णव संप्रदाय में जितने भी आचार्य हुए हैं, सब ने श्रील रूप गोस्वामी को एज ए गुरु वर्शिप किया है, और उनकी ग्लोरीज अनलिमिटेड है. I mean, the qualities, the qualities and the pastimes, the activities and the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami is like ocean, and it is really impossible for a conditioned soul like me to meditate on any aspect of Srila Rupa Goswami. I mean, it is really tough. I mean, because इनकी जर्नी के साथ जब हम इनके एक एक चीज़ को देखते हैं तो वी कैन रियली लर्न अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. वी कैन कंपेयर विद आवर लाइफ एंड सी हाउ टू हैंडल सर्टेन सिचुएशंस इन आवर लाइफ. सो और इनकी जर्नी के बाद इनकी लाइफ के बारे में बहुत सारी डिटेल्स इजीली अवेलेबल हैं. इट इज़ वेल डॉक्यूमेंटेड, एंड देयर आर लॉट ऑफ लर्निंग्स फ्रॉम दैम. And Srila Rupa Goswami was like one of 6 Goswamis, and he was the basically chief of all Goswamis. And the second point where which is very important, and which again basically says ki what is the true position of Srila Rupa Goswami, like the present Krishna consciousness movement, जो भी हम कर रहे हैं, जो भी Srila Prabhupada ने हमें बताया है, वो सब कुछ, and everything is basically based on the authority of Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami. And so इसीलिए like we are basically known as Rupanugas. So this is basically a word, Rupanugas. It says like we are the followers in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. So हम उनके अनुयायी हैं, जो उन्होंने हमें सिखाया है, जो उन्होंने बुक्स में लिखा है, and he has written a lot of books for our knowledge, for our help, ताकि हम अच्छे से भक्ति कर सकें. तो इसीलिए हम सभी लोग रूपानुगास कहलाते हैं. इसमें थर्ड पॉइंट which I mentioned about Shri Radha Damodar temple, and this also says like or reflects like what is the position of Srila Rupa Goswami. हम सबको पता है कि Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Western world में गए, और they have delivered a lot of devotees from there, and they have spread the message of Krishna consciousness in the Western world. But उन्होंने इसकी प्रिपरेशन राधा दामोदर टेम्पल से ही शुरू की थी. एंड वाई राधा दामोदर टेम्पल इज स्पेशल, बिकॉज वहाँ पे श्रीला रूप गोस्वामी की समाधि है, एंड इट्स समाधि टेम्पल एज वेल. श्रीला प्रभुपाद वहाँ पे ऑलमोस्ट 6 साल वहाँ पे रहे, एंड इट्स लाइक आई थिंक वो यहीं से वेस्टर्न, आई थिंक मे बी 1965 तक वो वहाँ पे रहे. और वो वहाँ पे जब थे तो ही यूज टू बेसिकली वो बहुत हमेशा दंडवत परिक्रमा, और वो रोते रहते थे. रोते रहने का मतलब है कि he was crying literally. He was seeking for blessings from Srila Rupa Goswami, because जिस तरीके से Srila Rupa Goswami ने अपने स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर चैतन्य महाप्रभु के मैसेज को फैलाया, जिस परफेक्शन से उन्होंने किया. I mean, Srila Prabhupada also wanted to do in the same way, and he was looking for blessings from Srila Rupa Goswami. वो वहाँ पे 6 साल तक रहे और हमेशा उनकी blessings लेने की कोशिश करते थे. And when he was there, he wrote the first canto of Bhagavatam, and he also wrote couple of scriptures and certain I think related to, there is one magazine, Back to Godhead. So उससे रिलेटेड भी उन्होंने वहाँ पे काफ़ी लिखा. So this basically, these 3 points, I mean, when I was hearing lecture, I found like these 3 points, and there are many points basically, and it basically made me to realize like what is the true position of Srila Rupa Goswami, and we are just following like whatever he has taught and whatever he has mentioned in books. So as I said, like he is one of the 6 Goswami. He was the chief of all 6 Goswamis. So today is the like first. Now we are going to start a complete series on all Goswamis. So we are starting from the first Srila Rupa Goswami, and next one will be Sri Sanatana Goswami, and then Jiva Goswami, जो कि इनके भतीजे थे और उनके भाई अनुपम के बेटे थे, and then Raghunath Bhatta Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So just I have added one slide related to Goswamis as well, and Srila Goswami basically has been attributed with the honor of being the person who realized Manobhishtam. I mean, जो लॉर्ड चैतन्य महाप्रभु के मन की बात जानता हो, तो ये एक बहुत बड़ी बात थी. और इनसे रिलेटेड उनके कुछ पास टाइम्स भी हैं जो हम डिस्कस करेंगे. So next slide is basically related to the qualities of Goswamis. And जब ये मैं पढ़ रहा था तो मुझे जगह जगह कुछ न कुछ छोटे छोटे पॉइंट्स मिले जहाँ पे they have given idea about a lot of qualities about Goswamis. And when we are talking about Srila Rupa Goswami, the word Goswami means like Go means senses, Swami is master. So a person who is a master of all senses is called Goswami, and we all are. I mean, I am basically a Godas. I mean, basically servant of my senses. So this word itself says like and we all know that how tough it is to control senses. So they all 6 Goswamis, like they spend their complete life in Vrindavan, and whoever is like basically like for all Vaishnavas, like jo basically jinka aim is to become fully Krishna consciousness. I mean, to attain this goal, I think it is very important to follow the 6 Goswamis and the teachings of the 6 Goswamis, and it is really important to know their life, and that will really going to help us in improving our Krishna consciousness and our bhakti, our chanting. So and there are few qualities which I have observed, like as I mentioned, like they all were master of senses, and they were always busy in Krishna Kirtana, constantly absorbed in chanting the holy names with the tears of love in their eyes. So 24 hours Kirtan is yes, Nam Sadhana, writing books, and they used to read Bhagavatam. I think I was reading somewhere like I think याद नहीं आ रहा, like Jiva Goswami, or I think Jiva Goswami used to read, and someone has to write. तो ये जब भी ऐसे बैठते थे, and they used to discuss a lot of on Bhagavatam, and they used to preach, and तो पूरे टाइम 24 hours उनके मन में सिर्फ और सिर्फ कृष्ण भगवान की भक्ति रहती थी, and how to basically share that message with the whole world. And they used to sleep only for 2 to 3 hours, which is really impossible for us. But you definitely जिस तरह की भगवान की blessings उनके ऊपर थी, they were empowered, and because of that blessing they were able to do it. And there was one important thing, like they used to visualize Vrindavan. I mean, visualize Vrindavan, जो मुझे समझ में आया, like they were having special vision of the Lord's pastime. I mean, वो जब भी कभी बैठते थे, मेडिटेट करते थे, तो वो भगवान के पास टाइम्स इंजॉय करते थे, देखते थे, उसमें उसको महसूस करते थे। ऐसी कई स्टोरीज हैं श्रीला रूप गोस्वामी की, एक जो मैं इसमें ऐड भी करूँगा बाद में, उसमें ही वॉज बेसिकली वॉचिंग राधा कृष्ण पास टाइम। तो उनके पास ऐसा स्पेशल विजन था, और आई थिंक इसी वजह से वो हमें इतने सारे पास टाइम्स बता पाए, जो श्रीला रूप गोस्वामी ने इतनी सारी जो बुक्स लिखी हैं। ही हैज़ रिटन बुक्स ऑन द्वारका एंड वृंदावन लीला। सो कृष्ण भगवान की जो वृंदावन में जो उनकी जो लीलाएं थी, और जो मथुरा में जो लीलाएं थी, उनके ऊपर उन्होंने बुक्स लिखी हैं, ड्रामाज लिखे हैं, एंड उन्होंने बेसिकली उसको ड्रामा के रूप में प्रेजेंट किया, सो दैट वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड देम इन अ बेटर वे। सो दे वर हैविंग स्पेशल विजन, सो दे यूज्ड टू विजुअलाइज वृंदावन एंड द लीलास, एंड वो खाने के लिए दे यूज्ड टू गो एंड दे यूज्ड टू बैग, एंड वो घर घर जाके भिक्षा लेते थे, उतने ही लेते थे जितना उनको चाहिए होता था। एंड दे हैड नो फिक्स रेजिडेंस, वो हमेशा पेड़ के नीचे सोते थे, और पेड़ भी हर बार चेंज करते रहते थे कि कहीं पे अटैचमेंट नहीं आ जाए। तो दे यूज्ड टू चेंज ट्रीज इन एवरी नाइट, हर जगह डिफरेंस होते। दे यूज्ड टू वियर कुपीना, बेसिकली स्मॉल लंगोट जैसा, एंड patchwork quilt, and they were not only expert in Sanskrit, they were also aware or expert in other language like Persian and Arabian. So this is basically a brief summary about the qualities of the Goswamis.
If I can add one thing, basically, yes, for those who actually are wondering who are these Goswamis, ye kahan se aa gaye, so just one word is like, these are very well known Goswamis of Vrindavan, and if you ever go to Vrindavan and say something like Rupa Goswami, you will be amazed that lot of people know about these people. Okay, yes. They're very well known people, and most of the big temples in Vrindavan have been actually they are responsible for getting them built. Okay, most of them, right? I mean, so they are very, very famous personalities of Vrindavan, these 6 Goswamis. That's what we are talking about.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhu. And really, I mean, ये वाला पॉइंट था मेरे दिमाग से निकला था, और इसमें ये मतलब गोस्वामी इनफैक्ट मतलब जैसे कि यहाँ पे गोविंद देव जी का टेम्पल भी इन्होंने बनाया था, तो अकबर तक और राजा मान सिंह तक इनको जानते थे, एंड इनसे ब्लेसिंग्स लेते थे। तो दे वर रियली वेरी फेमस। ऐसा नहीं था कि सिर्फ वैष्णव संप्रदाय तक ही ये सीमित थे। अगर मतलब वृंदावन में अगर आप जाके बोलोगे 6 गोस्वामीज, तो everybody is going to tell you all details about the Srila Rupa Goswami and all Goswamis. Okay, so यहाँ से हम बेसिकली Srila Rupa Goswami की लाइफ की जर्नी के बारे में मैं थोड़ा सा शेयर करूँगा, and that is basically I mean we can always compare their life with us and we can see कि हम उनसे क्या सीख सकते हैं। एंड मुझे उनकी ये जो जर्नी है मुझे काफ़ी इंस्पायरिंग लगी, एंड इनमें जो छोटे छोटे पॉइंट्स हैं वो सब मुझे बहुत अच्छे लगे। तो बेसिकली श्रीला रूपा गोस्वामी एक सारस्वत ब्राह्मण थे, सारस्वत फैमिली से बिलोंग करते थे। इनका अगर शुरू का अगर हम जो पढ़ते हैं, उनके मतलब बहुत सारी डिटेल्स है जिसमें इनकी बहुत रिच फैमिली थी, एंड ये यहाँ पे कर्नाटक में रहते थे, एंड यहाँ से वो बंगाल, वेस्ट बंगाल में शिफ्ट हो गए थे। तो बेसिकली इनका जन्म बंगाल में ही हुआ था, और ये जो प्लेस यहाँ पे मेंशन की है, ये बेसिकली इफ आई रिमेम्बर करेक्टली ये अभी भी आई थिंक बांग्लादेश में ही है। एंड तो ये जो जैसोर करके जो जगह, इनका बचपन में इनका जो बचपन वहीं पे निकला था, और इनका जो नाम था, ओरिजिनल नेम जो मेंशन किया गया है वो संतोष है। तो श्रीला रूपा गोस्वामी का शुरू का नाम संतोष था, और उनके पिता कुमार देव जो काफ़ी शुद्ध ब्राह्मण थे। एंड ऐसा मेंशन है कि इनके बेसिकली 5 जो इनके पिता कुमार देव और रेवती देवी दासी जो इनकी माता जी थी, उनका नाम था, उनके बेसिकली 5 पुत्र और एक डॉटर थी। एंड आउट ऑफ 5, 3 वर डेफिनेटली इन हाईली एलिवेटेड स्पिरिचुअल पर्सनालिटीज, एंड बाकी 2 के बारे में ज़्यादा डिस्क्रिप्शन नहीं मिलता। तो जो सबसे बड़े थे वो थे अमर, जो बाद में सनातन गोस्वामी के नाम से जाने गए, संतोष जो श्री रूप गोस्वामी के नाम से जाने गए, एंड श्री वल्लभा जो जिनका नाम बाद में चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने अनुपम रख दिया था। तो ये 3 उनके बेसिकली बच्चे थे, और ये शुरू से ही काफ़ी डिवाइन थे। लाइक इनका पूरे टाइम भगवान के ही स्क्रिप्चर स्टडी करते रहते थे। सनातन गोस्वामी हमें की तो भागवतम फेवरेट थी। आई मीन वो उसको पढ़ते पढ़ते रोते थे। तो बेसिकली आई वाज गोइंग टू कवर अबाउट सनातन गोस्वामी। सो तो तो शीला गोस्वामी बेसिकली बहुत ही हाईली स्कॉलर थे एंड ही वाज वेरी वेरी वेल वर्स्ड इन ऑल स्क्रिप्चर्स इन हिज अर्ली एजेस। और जैसे जैसे वो बड़े हुए तो उनकी जो they were like glorious in all senses. I mean, they were like very exceptionally attractive personalities in Bengal. And उनको मतलब उनका इतना इन्फ्लुएंस था, उनको लोग इतना जानते थे, they were so expert। चाहे उनकी सुंदरता की बात करो, चाहे उनकी नेचर की बात करो, चाहे उनकी नॉलेज की बात करो, and they were like completely perfect and they were completely clear from their minds। उनके मन में किसी के लिए किसी तरह की कोई जेलेसी नहीं थी। तो ये बेसिकली उनका जस्ट थोड़ा सा अर्ली एजेस के बारे में है कि तो दे वर लाइक स्पिरिचुअल सिंस अर्ली एजेस। Okay, so now basically moving to the next slide, which is named as a cruel ruler Nawab Shah Hussain। तो जहाँ पे इसके पीछे बेसिकली इसका नाम रखने के लिए जो मेरे को लगा कि समवेयर आई थॉट लाइक दिस पर्सन इज लाइक अ प्रॉब्लम इन लाइफ। जैसे कि हमारी लाइफ में प्रॉब्लम्स होती है, तो ही वाज अ प्रॉब्लम क्रिएटर एक्चुअली। तो हम इसको उस तरीके से कंपेयर कर सकते हैं कि हमारी लाइफ में भी कुछ ना कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स आती है एंड दोज आर लाइक स्टॉप्स अस टू डू समथिंग इन भक्ति एंड साधना। तो मुझे समवेयर ये ऐसा लगा कि ये कहीं ना कहीं हमारी लाइफ प्रॉब्लम से रिलेट करता है। तो जो नवाब हुसैन शाह थे बंगाल के, ही वाज रियली वेरी क्रूअल रूलर ऑफ बंगाल। उसको लोग औरंगजेब से कंपेयर करते थे, मतलब जो लेक्चर्स में। एंड वो बहुत ही लोगों पे अत्याचार करता था। एंड जब उसने देखा कि एंड व्हेन ही हर्ड अबाउट अमर एंड संतोष लाइक शीला सनातन गोस्वामी, रूपा गोस्वामी एंड वल्लभ जी, कि वो इतने परफेक्ट हैं, तो एक जनरली हर किसी की एक नेचर होती है लाइक whoever इज द परफेक्ट उनको अपने टीम में शामिल करो। एंड he was really struggling at that time because जिस तरह का उसकी दमन आई मीन जो जितना क्रूअल था वो लोगों को परेशान करता था। तो काफी विरोध करते थे लोग बाग। तो ही फाउंड कि अगर इनको मैं अपनी टीम में शामिल कर लूंगा तो इट विल बी अ गुड एसेट फॉर हिम। तो ही बेसिकली फोर्स्ड देम ही उसने उनको अप्रोच किया और बोला कि he told them, if you become my chief ministers then I will protect you and I will protect the Hindu community, and if you don't then I will persecute you। तो इस तरह उतना धमकी देके उनको बेसिकली प्रेशराइज किया। एंड उन्होंने अपने फादर से भी डिस्कस किया। एंड वो जो शीला रूपा गोस्वामी, सनातन गोस्वामी, ये सब बहुत विद्वान थे एंड दे वर लाइक हाई क्लास डिवोटी। तो डेफिनेटली जब उनको लगा कि अगर हमने इनकी बात नहीं मानी, और जब राजा की बात नहीं मानना इज लाइक ए वेरी बिग थिंग। आई मीन यू कैन नॉट से नो टू हिम एंड ही हैज ऑल पावर, ही कैन किल एनीवन। तो कोई पॉइंट नहीं था उनसे फाइट करने का। तो उन्होंने सोचा कि yes, for the safety of all devotees, for the safety of all brahmanas, they have accepted that position। और उन्होंने उनको उनका जॉब एक्सेप्ट कर लिया। एंड इसमें और एक अच्छी बात है कि अब ये बेसिकली हमारे प्रॉब्लम्स की तरह है। अब और हम इसको बेसिकली कंपेयर भी कर सकते हैं हमारे जॉब लाइफ की तरह, कि हम अपना जॉब करते हैं, हम सम फील कि हम उससे डाइवर्टेड होते हैं। तो यहाँ पे ये बताया कि they were so expert even though they have accepted this is in a pressure or because of they were not in mood। कई बार हम अपना जॉब हमें बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं आता है एंड हम उससे रियली डिटैच हो जाते हैं और अच्छे मन से नहीं कर पाते। बट यहाँ पे टोटली डिफरेंट एक हाई क्लास डिवोटी जो है उनको ऐसा काम करने के लिए बोला गया जो उन्होंने कभी सोचा नहीं होगा, एंड दैट टू अंडर मुस्लिम रूलर। एंड उस वक्त जो सोसाइटी थी वो बहुत ही अगेंस्ट थी। ऐसे जो लोग मुस्लिम रूलर्स के अंडर काम करते थे, उनके जॉब्स एक्सेप्ट कर लेते थे, उनके उनसे कनेक्टेड रहते थे, तो उनको वो अपने समाज से निकाल देते। तो इसीलिए उस वक्त जो सोसाइटी थी, दे हैव बेसिकली ऑस्ट्रेसाइज्ड देम ड्यू टू द एक्सेप्टेंस ऑफ मिनिस्ट्रियल पोस्ट अंडर दिस गवर्नमेंट ऑफ हुसैन शाह। और वो इतना अच्छे से काम कर रहे थे कि हुसैन शाह वाज सो इम्प्रेस्ड कि उन्होंने उनको बेसिकली अपने भाई जैसा मानना शुरू कर दिया। आई मीन दैट इज अ वेरी बिग थिंग। कि उन्होंने अपने भाई जैसा मानना शुरू कर दिया, एंड ही गिव सो मच वेल्थ टू देम, एंड इसलिए उन्होंने उनका नाम भी चेंज कर दिया। एंड नाम चेंज किया तो जो सनातन गोस्वामी जी थे, जो बड़े भाई थे, उनको दबीर खास, बेसिकली पर्शियन नेम, दबीर इज लाइक अ स्पेशल पर्सन और मीन्स लाइक अ चीफ मिनिस्टर, सो ही वाज बेसिकली ऑन दैट पर्टिकुलर रोल। एंड रूपा गोस्वामी जी का नाम सकर मलिक, एंड ही दैट वाज अगेन रिलेटेड टू इसका पर्शियन मीनिंग जो मेरे को पढ़ने में आया, दैट इज रेवेन्यू मिनिस्टर, एंड तो ही वाज टेकिंग केयर ऑफ द रेवेन्यू डिपार्टमेंट। सो इस तरीके से एक क्रूअल रूलर के अंडर उनको काम करना पड़ा, और यहाँ पे उन्होंने कोई मतलब जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ द डिवोटीज प्रोटेक्शन, दे हैव एक्सेप्टेड ऑल दिस, एंड दे हैव डन इट वेरी वेल। ऐसा नहीं था कि उन्होंने अधूरे मन से किया हो इसको, उन्होंने अपने अच्छे मन से इसको उन्होंने किया। ओके, तो यहाँ से सेकेंड स्लाइड, ये बेसिकली दिस स्लाइड इज लाइक आई नेम्ड इट एज अ रिप्लाई फ्रॉम लॉर्ड चैतन्य, क्योंकि यहाँ पे जब सनातन गोस्वामी, रूप गोस्वामी और श्री वल्लभ जी जब वहाँ पे उनके अंडर में काम कर रहे थे, तो यहाँ पे एक बहुत अच्छी बात जो आती है, दिस इज अबाउट लाइक द फादर ऑफ श्री रूप गोस्वामी, जो कुमार देव जी थे, सॉरी। एंड इन जनरल आज की अगर कॉन्टेक्स्ट में कंपेयर करें, अगर किसी का बच्चा यूएस चला जाता है एंड इफ ही अर्न्स इन अ डॉलर, एंड उसके बड़े बड़े महल बिल्डिंग्स हो जाती हैं, उसके पास BMW कार हो जाती है, तो फादर फील्स प्राउड, उसके अंदर एक लगता है वाओ मेरा बेटा ही इज डूइंग सो मच गुड इन हिज लाइफ। बट यहाँ पे टोटली अपोजिट था, उनके फादर एक्चुअली रोते थे, एंड ही वाज लाइक क्राइंग, एंड उनको बिल्कुल भी अच्छा नहीं लग रहा था कि उनके बच्चे ऐसा काम कर रहे हैं, ऐसा करना पड़ रहा है उनको। एंड इसीलिए वो हमेशा पूरे टाइम भगवान की प्रेयर्स में लगे रहते थे, यज्ञ हवन करते रहते थे। ही यूज्ड टू प्रे कि भगवान प्लीज इनको इनके इस सर्विस से फ्री करो, बिकॉज उनको उनका वहाँ पे काम करना बिल्कुल अच्छा नहीं लग रहा था। एंड इन बिटवीन श्री रूप गोस्वामी जी और इन सबको चैतन्य महाप्रभु के बारे में भी पता चला था कि उनका वो धरती पर आ गए हैं, एंड एंड देन उनको जो वो जानते थे कि वो कौन है, एंड उनको पता था कि वो ही इनको इस संकट से निकाल सकते हैं। तो जब वो अपनी माता जी से बात कर रहे थे, देन उनकी मॉम ने सजेस्ट किया कि आप उनको लेटर लिखो। तो श्रीला रूपा गोस्वामी ने उनको एक लेटर लिखा, कोई रिप्लाई नहीं आया। फिर उन्होंने दूसरा लेटर लिखा, कोई रिप्लाई नहीं आया। ऐसे वैसे उन्होंने कई लेटर लिखे। श्रीला रूपा गोस्वामी को पूरा एक्सप्लेन, चैतन्य महाप्रभु लेटर लिखते तो उसको पूरा एक्सप्लेन करते थे कि हम कैसे काम कर रहे हैं, हमें क्यों काम करना पड़ रहा है। बट फाइनली आफ्टर सम टाइम एक रिप्लाई आया चैतन्य महाप्रभु से, एंड उनका रिप्लाई बहुत ही अच्छा था। तो उन्होंने लिखा, जस्ट एज ए यंग लेडी हु इज मैरिड, if she falls in love with another man than her husband, then she will perform her duties to her husband exceptionally attentive, so that he will not in any way suspect what is in her mind. But in her mind, she will constantly absorbed in the meditating on her paramour. तो इसका मैसेज बहुत ही क्रिप्टिक था, और इसका मैसेज बहुत ही क्लियर था कि कैरी ऑन विद योर सर्विसेज एंड जस्ट मेडिटेट ऑन कृष्णा। तो ये एक बहुत ही अच्छा रिप्लाई था चैतन्य महाप्रभु का, एंड विद अ वेरी क्लियर मैसेज। एंड इसमें वन ऑफ लेक्चर में हिज होलिनेस राजू महाराज ने बोला कि श्रीला रूपा गोस्वामी दिन रात जस्ट प्रे करते रहते थे कि प्लीज सेव अस। एंड तो इस तरीके से उनको चैतन्य महाप्रभु से इंस्ट्रक्शंस मिले, एंड इसीलिए ये बहुत अच्छे से वहाँ पे अपना जॉब कर रहे थे। So this is next slide is about राम केली। तो जैसे कि हम जानते हैं कि जो नवाब हुसैन शाह थे वो बेसिकली काफ़ी क्रूअल थे, एंड ही वाज सो इम्प्रेस्ड विद देम कि उन्होंने उनको बहुत वेल्थ दी। उनके लिए राम के लिए एक जगह थी, वहाँ पे उनके लिए अलग से हर ब्रदर के लिए अलग से महल बनाया, उनको बहुत प्रॉपर्टी दी। एंड रामकेली इज बेसिकली सिटी, तो वहाँ पे उनके लिए इतने ऑपुलेंट पैलेसेस बनाए फॉर ईच ब्रदर। एंड जो सब तो इसमें एक अच्छी बात ये है कि अगर यहाँ पे हम देखते हैं तो उनको इतना वेल्थ मिला, एंड तो इतना काम करने के बाद भी they were not diverted, they were and fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness or Krishna bhakti. And this we can understand by the next explanation कि उन्होंने अपने जो प्रॉपर्टी थी उसमें उन्होंने वृंदावन का रिप्लिका बना दिया, ब्यूटीफुल गार्डन विच वाज बेसिकली रिप्लिका ऑफ वृंदावन। उन्होंने वहाँ पे, और उसका नाम उन्होंने जो था कदम्ब कानन, एंड वहाँ पे उन्होंने राधा कुंड, श्याम कुंड, और उन्होंने मदन मोहन टेम्पल भी इंस्टॉल किया। उन्होंने एक बहुत बड़ा हॉल था जिसमें वो जब भी कथा और ऐसे डिस्कशंस करा करते थे। एंड तो बेसिकली वो फुल ड्यूटीज के साथ साथ एक अपना बैलेंस बना के चल रहे थे, और जो कि हमारे लिए भी एक लर्निंग है कि हम अपने जो भी जॉब करते हैं, हम जो भी हमारी डेली लाइफ में जो एक्टिविटीज़ हैं उसको हम कैसे बैलेंस कर सकते हैं और किस तरीके से हम अपने भक्ति को मेंटेन कर सकते हैं। तो ये आई थिंक मुझे बहुत उनसे इंस्पायरिंग लगा। एंड प्रभु, मैं आगे कंटिन्यू कर सकता हूँ या नेक्स्ट वीक कंटिन्यू करूँ?
Yeah, what does everybody feels? I mean, can we do it for another 5 minutes or so, or we stop?
Yes, Prabhuji, let's continue.
Yeah, continue, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do it for 5 minutes maybe.
Okay, sure. So I will just complete this first meeting with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then the remaining part I will cover in next week, because I think there are a few more slides which I will cover next week. So यहाँ पे basically जो चैतन्य, अब यहाँ पे एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग जो पॉइंट था वो ये था कि राम के लिए मैं, और जो उनका भरोसा था नवाब शाह का, वो था कि वो उनको पूरा फ्री हैंड दे रखा था। एंड जब चैतन्य महाप्रभु जब पुरी में थे, ही वांटेड टू गो टू वृंदावन, एंड वो वृंदावन से पुरी से वृंदावन की तरफ अपने बहुत सारे डिवोटीज के साथ बढ़े, एंड इन बिटवीन उन्होंने एक डिफरेंट रूट लिया, एंड दैट रूट इज लाइक वो राम के लिए आ गए। ठीक है, रामकेली वॉज नॉट इन द रूट ऑफ पुरी टू वृंदावन, बट वहाँ डेफिनेटली उनकी इंटरनल इच्छा थी कि दे वांटेड टू डिलीवर और मीट श्री रूपा गोस्वामी, सनातन गोस्वामी एंड श्री वल्लभा जी। एंड जब वहाँ पे आए तो वहाँ पे बहुत सारे ड्यूटीज आए, दे वर डूइंग कीर्तन। तो श्रीला रूपा गोस्वामी और सारे भाई बेसिकली डायरेक्टली नहीं जा सकते थे, सो दे चेंज्ड डिस्गाइज होके और दे वेंट देयर। उन्होंने अलग से बेस बना के रात में गए। और यहाँ पे एक बहुत अच्छी जो लर्निंग है वो ये कि उन्होंने सबसे पहले जाके नित्यानंद प्रभु और हरिदास ठाकुर जी को प्रणाम किया, एंड दे आस्क्ड फॉर देयर ब्लेसिंग्स। एंड नित्यानंद प्रभु और हरिदास ठाकुर उनको चैतन्य महाप्रभु के पास ले गए। जब उनके पास गए तो वो पूरे दंडवत होके उनके पाँव में लेट गए, और इसमें ऐसा मेंशन है कि उन्होंने अपने मुंह में घास रख ली। तो दैट इज बेसिकली सिंबल ऑफ हम्बलनेस, और कि और वो दे वर लाइक ए क्राइंग कि प्लीज सेव अस। एंड हम लोग जगाई मदाई से भी ज्यादा बेसिकली आपने जब जगाई मदाई को, जैसे हम जगाई मदाई से ज्यादा घिरे हुए हैं, एंड प्लीज एलिवेट अस, प्लीज गिव अस मर्सी। एंड तो यहाँ पे जो हमें जो देखने को मिल रहा है दैट इज बेसिकली मूड ऑफ सरेंडर, कि ऐसा नहीं है कि श्रीला रूपा गोस्वामी जी कुछ नहीं जानते थे। उन्होंने चैतन्य महाप्रभु को मिलने से पहले ही बहुत सारे लिटरेचर लिख चुके थे। उन्होंने वैदिक कल्चर्स पे और कहीं पे उन्होंने उनकी बुक्स ऑलरेडी थी उनके पास। दे वर वेरी वेल वर्स्ड ऑफ, वो जानते थे कि ये सब क्या है, बट फिर भी एक जो सरेंडर होता है, वी कैन लर्न कि मुंह में घास रखने के मतलब कि आई हैव कम्प्लीटली सरेंडर्ड ऑन टू यू, एंड प्लीज मर्सी कीजिए हमें, नवाब शाह के इससे बचाइए। एंड देन जो और जगह मदाई की एक अलग स्टोरी है, जो डाकू की थे, उनको चैतन्य महाप्रभु और नित्यानंद महाप्रभु ने उनको, नित्यानंद प्रभु ने उनको बेसिकली डिलीवर किया था। तो उनका एग्जाम्पल देते हैं, उनका उनसे भी ज़्यादा गिरे हुए हैं, तो प्लीज़ डिलीवर अस। तो जो चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने उठाया और बोला कि यू आर ऑलवेज मतलब यू आर इटर्नली कनेक्टेड विद मी, हम हर जन्म में साथ में मिले हैं, एंड तुम बहुत जल्दी इनके यहाँ से फ्री हो जाओगे, डोंट वरी। एंड उन्होंने ये भी बोला सभी जो डिवोटीज थे वहाँ पे कि प्लीज गिव हिम अ ब्लेसिंग्स सो दैट ही कैन बी फ्री फ्रॉम द क्लचेस ऑफ नवाब हुसैन शाह। एंड दैट इज रियली वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि यहाँ पे महाप्रभु ने एक बहुत बड़ा मैसेज दिया कि सिर्फ महाप्रभु की मर्सी के साथ साथ हमें डिवोटीज की मर्सी भी चाहिए होती है। सो यहाँ पे नित्यानंद प्रभु से उन्होंने ब्लेसिंग्स लिए, हरिदास ठाकुर जी से ब्लेसिंग्स लिए, एंड ऑल अदर डिवोटीज से ब्लेसिंग लिए। और जब वो नीचे लेटे हुए थे तो श्रीला रूपा गोस्वामी ने बोला कि प्लीज आप मेरे सिर पे पाँव रख के मुझे ब्लेस कीजिए। एंड उन्होंने उनके सिर पे पाँव रख के उनको ब्लेस किया। दैट इज हाउ ही एक्सेप्टेड। उन्होंने बोला कि बहुत जल्दी आप यहाँ से फ्री हो जाओगे, तो जब वो वहाँ थे तो श्री रूप गोस्वामी ने बोला कि आप प्लीज़ वृंदावन मत जाइए अभी, बिकॉज नवाब हुसैन शाह अगर उनको पता पड़ता है कि और कि एक प्रोमिनेंट हिंदू लीडर यहाँ से जा रहे हैं, तो और उनको ये पता पड़ा कि हम भी आए थे, तो दे माइट ट्राई टू हर्ट यू, और तो उन्होंने बोला कि आप मत जाइए। तो वहाँ से फिर उन्होंने अपना प्लान चेंज कर लिया। एंड बेसिकली हाँ, यहाँ पे और एक और पॉइंट था कि जब यहाँ पे मिले तो उन्होंने उनको एक्चुअली इनिशिएट कर दिया। तो यहाँ पे पहली बार चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने उनको जो सनातन गोस्वामी थे, जो कि दबीर खास थे, उनको सनातन गोस्वामी के नाम से इनिशिएट किया। एंड जो सकर मलिक जो कि थे, उनको रूप गोस्वामी के नाम से इनिशिएट किया। और श्री वल्लभ जो उनके छोटे भाई थे, उनको अनुपम के नाम से इनिशिएट किया। एंड सो बेसिकली यहाँ से श्रीला रूप गोस्वामी का मूड बिल्कुल चेंज हो गया। उन्होंने बोला कि मुझे अब काम नहीं करना है। एंड जो चैतन्य महाप्रभु थे, दे रिटर्न बैक टू पुरी। एंड लेटर ऑन उन्होंने एक दूसरे रूट से विद लिमिटेड डिवोटीज ही वेंट टू वृंदावन। एंड जब वो यहाँ पे थे जो श्रीला रूप गोस्वामी, तो उन्होंने अपनी जॉब दे दी थी, बट सनातन गोस्वामी वॉज नॉट एबल टू गिव अप हिज जॉब बिकॉज ही वॉज डूइंग वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल ऑफ चीफ मिनिस्टर। तो उस वक्त सिर्फ अनुपम और जो श्री रूप गोस्वामी थे, उन्होंने अपनी जॉब छोड़ के और वो वहीं पे उन्होंने अपनी वेल्थ भी डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर दी। सो देयर इज अगेन अ ग्रेट लर्निंग हियर कि उन्होंने जिस तरीके से अपने वेल्थ डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करी। आई विल कवर इन द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। एंड फिर वो यहाँ से छोड़ के वृंदावन की तरफ चल दिए, ये सोच के कि हम मिलेंगे। तो मैं आज यहीं पे कंप्लीट करूँगा। एंड प्रोबब्ली नेक्स्ट टाइम हाउ he made Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Prayag and what they discussed in Prayag, and I will try to cover. So I'm
Thank
really sorry, Prabhu, and I'm really sorry for the mistakes. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Perfect, Prabhuji. So basically, when they met, I mean, when they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so at that time there was like, I'll just project one verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this is what they said when they met him. Okay, and this is very interesting verse to see. They said, "Ke ami kene amaye jare trapet rahe, iha nahi jani ke mane hit hai." It's a Bengali verse, of course, but it's a very interesting meaning that they said. They said that ke ami, like who am I? Okay, and kene amaye jare trapet rahe means like I don't even know like who I am. Okay, and what is my, and what are these threefold miseries? I mean, people who did devas know, right, that the threefold miseries are adhyatmic klesh, adi bhautik klesh, and adi devik klesh. So these three things, I have no idea about who am I and anything of that sort. But iha nahi jani ke mane hit hai. Like if I don't know any of this, and I don't even know what is the right thing, good thing, what is my benefit. I mean, like whatever I'm doing, is that right or is it wrong? So I don't have any idea. Like when they humbly surrendered, this is the verse they recited, saying that okay, I have no idea about what is good for me, what is bad for me. I don't know why I am into this kind of misery, and I don't even know who I am. Okay, and the next verse they say, Sanatan Goswami says that. The interesting thing is, like, without knowing me any of this, I have no idea about any of this, but people call us pandit, I mean, they call us scholars. Okay, and the bad thing about the whole thing is that I even believe that they say that I'm a scholar. Okay, because we are a fool, and but we still start believing that, oh yeah, we are scholars and we have lot of knowledge and things like that. So that is the kind of prayer they did when they met him. And yeah, it's like a lot of things, as I said earlier also, like that these people are like very elevated and they are very well known people. I mean, like you go to any rickshaw wala in Vrindavan and say, take us to Goswami temple or something like that, like the Rupa Goswami and things, like they'll know and they'll take you there, kind of things. Anyways, so much. So thank you, Rajiv Prabhu. I think you'll have to continue for maybe a couple of weeks. I think there is a lot of content you have.
Yes, Prabhu, I think there's a lot of learnings from Srila Rupa Goswami. So I will try.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Shlokas. Anyone wants to recite shlokas?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
6.38 कच्चिन्नोऽभ्यविभ्रष्टश्चिन्नाभ्रम् इव नश्यति अप्रतिष्ठो महाबाहो विमूढो ब्रह्मणः पति. Translation: O mighty armed Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a raven cloud and us- and no pos- and having no position in any sphere? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I will go.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Very nice. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. रागद्वेष विमुक्तेस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियश्चरन् आत्मा वैश्वर्यदे आत्मा prasadam adhigacchati. Translation: when a person is free from all attachment and aversion and is able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom, can obtain the complete mercy of Lord.
Thank you. Very nice. Okay, who else? Dev?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
ईश्वर सर्वभूतानां हृद्देशेऽर्जुन तिष्ठति ब्राह्मयन् सर्वभूतानि Maya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjun, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made up of material energy.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you. Okay, you remembered the combined verse, kya? Is together or something like that.
Yes, sir. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Ishvara sarvabhutanam riddhesherarjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. Translation: the Supreme Lord is situated in the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made up of material energy.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Danvat.
Okay, who else?
प्रभु जी देव नेक्स्ट टाइम करेंगे, वो तबीयत ठीक नहीं, वो सो रहे हैं जी.
Okay, no issue. Hare Krishna. All right. Okay. Thank you. Any questions or anything? Okay. Quiet means everything is clear. So we'll do the quiz next time on the verse that we discussed.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. All right. Vanchakalparubhesha kripa sindhubhaya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha anantakoti vaishnavvrinda ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I'll share that. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, and Radhaji, I think everybody left. Thank you. Hare Krishna.